Um, Not a lot's been going. I'm gonna start recording these on Thursdays because honestly, it's the only way I'm gonna remember. Um, but not a lot's going on. I had leadership training for karate this weekend. Last weekend. Uh, we were just going over some of the self defense for this belt cycle because promotion recently. That's what I want to talk about. So then it's been for a couple months now. My sister got me really into anime, and I just want to talk about it. It makes me really happy. I'm sorry. I kind of already planned my Halloween costume to be one of the characters, so yeah. So I don't know how long it's gonna be. I'm just gonna end up dubbing. So My Hero Academia. So okay, so it's set in. No one actually knows what year it is. Some people think it's like 2030, something like that. But it's set in a world where 80% of the population, up to this point, because it's been multiple generations, it's 9 generations, roughly. The main character is 15, so like all the other younger characters, different generation, but there's like 9-10 generations of people who are born with powers. 80% of the population has them. They're called quirks. A quirk can be almost anything, so I'll say I'm just really excited to talk about quirks because they're really interesting. Because it can be as simple as a mutation, but it'll be like extremely overpowered. Like a first generation quirk user has the power to take other people's quirks and pass them on to other people. Like that is so overpowered for first generation quirk user, and yet she exists. But it's similar to mutation. Like there's someone, oh wait, I didn't explain here. Okay, so there, obviously with the rise of quirks, some people are going to use them to hurt others. So before there were a bunch of vigilantes, and then the government wanted to regulate quirk usage, made it so you had to get a license to use your quirk in public, or else you were labeled as a villain. So vigilantes, only like a handful of them got approved, and the rest were immediately labeled as villains and were arrested. So there are special, they are high schools, so like they do have normal classes, but there are special courses that teach students how to become heroes, and through them you can take the exam to get your license, you can use your quirk in public, and everything else. So, main character went to one of these schools. It's supposed to be the best one in the country, UA High. And one of the students in his class, class 1A, has, the core that I was going to talk about, it's mutation. He has a tail. That's it. so like, it's, like, there's a wide range of quirks. There's someone else in 1A, his quirk is explosion. So he has Sweat, he has nitroglycerin-like sweat, which is an explosive substance, so he can create explosions from his palms. There's someone else where it's half fire, half ice. So I might be mixing up like which one's which, but I think left is fire, right is ice. And by the time he gets to UA, he's been training for years. But I'm not gonna talk about that. So you can create like huge ice walls. Like you have an event called the Sports Festival to get the attention of pro heroes, so then the students can go on internships at hero agencies. At the Sports Festival, the end is versus battles. The first round of the first round of their first battle, like the first one they fought, he froze half the stadium. Like, it was nothing. Like, it was insane. Okay, let's see. I mean, there's some cool quirks in Class 1B too, which is the other hero course class. But honestly, mostly 1A is shown, and their quirks are cooler in a lot of ways. I'm sorry, 1B. I mean, there's someone in 1B whose quirk is copy, so by touching someone, he can copy the quirk for a certain amount of time. I think it's like 5 minutes. I might be wrong about that. I think it's only a couple minutes. With training, can obviously increase the time limit. And he can copy a certain amount of quirks at a time. I don't think he can use multiple at a time, but I think it's like he can copy 3? Also might be incorrect about that. But copy a few. Then each has a separate time limit, like their own timer. So like once he runs out of the one, he can use the next, but also can like, let's just say he has 2 quirks copied, because I know it's more than that. So let's say he starts using the first one, so it's like partially through the time, and then he uses the second one, and it's like all the way through the time, so he still has like this little bit left of the other one. I don't know why I answered that. Anyway, so, I mean, that can be useful, but essentially quirkless means alone, which, can you fight quirkless? Obviously. But is it extremely dangerous if you don't know what you're doing? Obviously. Because, like, what you need to fight quirkless, like, you need strategy, which some people are straight up not good at, especially on the fly like that. So it is dangerous, but it is doable. Even though some people are like, oh, you can't fight quirkless or whatever, like, you can't be a hero without a quirk. It's like, you can, though. You can, though. Okay, so I didn't mention, the main character is quirkless. He was given a quirk, that's something I'm about to explain. So he always looked up to the number 1 hero in One Piece, All Might. And ever since he was a kid, he wanted to have a quirk. But due to being born quirkless, he was constantly bullied by his classmates. So one day, like before starting high school, he met All Might and asked him, can I be a hero, like, can I still be a hero even if I don't have a quirk? All Might told him no, which, it's one thing to have, like, people in your life that you know crush your dreams, but it's another thing to have your idol crush your dreams. So that didn't go over well. So then he's walking home, and there was a villain attack. And the villain had a hostage. It was someone this kid knew very well. I would say they were childhood friends, but it was also the main person who bullied him. They still thought they were friends, and it's like, but anyway, it's still someone he cares about a lot for some reason. So, despite not knowing what to do, just ran up to try to get this kid out. Now, All Might, yeah, he has a super powerful quirk, he's the symbol of peace, and he's the number 1 hero, but there's something that a lot of people don't know. He can only use this quirk for 3 hours a day now, because he was also given a quirk. And in a battle 5 years ago, which most people don't know about, he got severely injured. And between, like, all the surgeries and stuff, he lost, like, half, okay, you can't see, he lost, like, half his organs, besides he has a giant scar on his side now. So he can only use quirk for 3 hours a day, with the result, like, that fell, so, for any normal reason, like, he can't do anything right now. But seeing this kid, who just mentally recognized him, now of course trying to run to save someone, made so he was able to push past his normal limit, like his time limit with his quirk, and he's able to save this kid. which I don't think that would be how it works. He ends up shortening the time limit that he has, which, because he becomes a teacher at UA, because there's less and less time he can use quirk, so he can find a successor, because of the quirk that can be passed on, which are passing to main character's name is Midoriya. I forgot to mention that. She passes it on to Midoriya, but it's like, he originally became a teacher at UA, so then he can find a successor, and then he found a successor with this random kid that he met in that afternoon. So he became a teacher at UA, and so it's like two different forms, like one where basically like one where you can use quirk, one where you can't. I don't know, because he's supposed to be born quirkless, and yet none of the other users have had that thing, or like two different forms thing, but whatever. So he can only maintain, basically, like, one, he looks like a skeleton, like, quite literally. Like, the first time Midoriya saw, like, Switch because he ran out of time, he's like, "You deflated!" And didn't recognize him with All Might. So, yeah, it's a big difference. But he can only maintain the other form once he starts at UA, barely, for one class. So it's like, why are you even trying to do that? Like, you're exhausting your quirk for no reason, just to keep your secret. And because of the multiple zone has that UA ends up suffering, over and over, you keep pushing your quirk past its limit, shortening the limit in the process, and you keep trying to do that. What are you doing? What are you doing? Anyway, not the point. So, the quirk that All Might had that gave Midoriya is called One for All. Like I said, it's a quirk that can be passed on, which is unheard of. Like, it's a huge secret, because the way it works, like, someone can't steal it, but no one knows that. So if there's this super powerful quirk that can be passed on, like, whoever has it gonna be the target of villains. So Midoriya is the 9th user. It's called One for All. So it was designed to defeat the most dangerous villain in the country, All for One. The one who I mentioned earlier, who can take people's quirks and pass them on. So, Origin One for All. All for One had a brother who was presumed to be quirkless. So he forcefully gave him a quirk, but apparently he wasn't quirkless, he just had a completely useless quirk. Unnamed, but it was a quirk that, I think it's unnamed, but it was a quirk that allowed him to pass quirks to other people. So, because it's a fairly useless quirk, he didn't know that he was quirkless, so his brother forcefully gave him a quirk, so then that combined with the one that he had and created One for All. If you try to use One for All without enough muscle mass, you're gonna break your bones. That's a guarantee. So he was unable to use One for All. Also, I don't think he knew that at the time. So when he died, it was just magically passed on to someone else. I don't know, because normally, like, you have to do a thing to get it to pass on, so I'm just gonna say plot armor and leave it there. Anyway, so we have the second user, and I don't actually know who that is. So they had the quirk they were born with, plus, like, the strength and speed enhancement from One for All. One for All also enhanced the quirk they were born with. So that was stronger. So anyway, this keeps happening. So it's Midoriya. Now, having 8 generations of power behind you when you're a fairly scrawny 15-year-old isn't going to go over well. He, at the entrance exam for UA, in one punch, he broke both his legs and one arm. From one punch. So, yeah. Not good. Thankfully, there's someone working at UA, the nurse, her name's Recovery Girl, where she can heal people's injuries, by her uses the person's stamina to speed up the healing process, so thankfully he did not leave the entrance exam with 3 broken limbs. He was fine, but still not ideal, because instead of being injured, he's exhausted, so it's still not fun. So one interesting thing about One For All, so something that hasn't happened until now, because plot, I guess I really can't think of an explanation why things are the way they are sometimes, with just like plot. It's the only thing I can think of. So until now, the user One For All did not have access to the other users' quirks. Doria does. I think it's at 45% of One For All, like, that he can safely use. Because, like, when he first gets it, yeah, he's using 100%, but he can't do it without breaking his bones. So once he learns to control the percentage, then things start to go well. So as a percentage, it's how much he can use safely. So I believe it's 45%. I've only read this in a fan wiki. I only watched the first 4 seasons because I could not find the other 4. Well, okay, I couldn't find the other 4 for free. Because I did find them, but... Because first 4 seasons are on Netflix, but that's it. And anyway, so I guess not free. So I'm getting off track. I only watched the first 4 seasons, but I know more than that because of reading the fan wiki and seeing spoilers, so... So I think that 40% Midoriya starts to unlock the course the previous users of One For All. The first one he unlocks is called Black Whip. It's... I don't remember whose quirk. I want to say 4th for some reason, but I feel like that's wrong. I know it's not in the order of the users. So it's not like, oh, Black Whip is the second user quirk. It's not. It's not in order. Because that is not how it works. For reasons. I know Black Whip can be used to capture people. It can also be used to, like, move through the air easier. Like Spider-Man. Honestly. Oh. When the quirks first manifest, there's no control over them. So, that goes badly. Because I've seen a clip of it, that's the only reason I know this. Yora manifested Black Whip in the middle of training. It was a joint training between Class 1A and Class 1B. So, it was small teams, each class, and you had to capture the other team. But there was a time limit, so basically, whichever team had more members that can still fight by the end of the time limit, if neither team was, like, all their members weren't captured, whoever has more people left, they win. So, it's not great to have a completely uncontrolled power manifest in the middle of training. because it just went everywhere. And one of his classmates, Uraraka, ended up, a quirk is zero gravity, so she can actually use it on herself and allows her to float. She ended up going up to Midoriya to try to help him, despite the fact she was fully aware that she was putting herself in danger. Thankfully, it worked, because, not part of 1A or 1B, someone who's actually from general studies, who's trying to get into the hero course. It was included in the training as, like, a test to go into the hero course. His name's Shinzo. His quirk is brainwashing. So, Uraraka's by Midoriya and is telling Shinzo, like, brainwash Midoriya to get him to stop. So, that it worked. At least there's that. Shinzo's quirk is really cool. So, like I said, it's brainwashing, which isn't like a super flashy quirk, which is why he didn't get into the hero course in the first place, because the entrance exam is against robots, so it favors students with, like, combat-based quirks. Well, either combat or just, like, flashier quirks. Like, you can't brainwash a robot. So, kind of screwed from the start there. Because the way it works, so it'll ask a question, and then when someone gives him a verbal response, you brainwash them. The person is still fully aware of what's happening, but is just unable to do anything. A physical shock will break them out of it. So even if someone, like, flicked, your forehead or something, like, that snaps you out of brainwashing. But anyway, the first question one for all use. I don't know a lot about them, but I do know the names. So, there's 6 of them. Yeah, because there's 9 users. Midoriya, All Might, or quirkless, and then got the only one for all from the first user. So, there's 6 of them. So there's Black Whip, there's Float, which is pretty self-explanatory. There's Smokescreen, Danger Sense, Gear Shift, and Falchion. I don't know what all of them do. Like, Gear Shift, I, like, vaguely know, but not enough to explain. Smokescreen, Danger Sense are self-explanatory. I explained Black Whip. Float is also self-explanatory. Gear Shift and Falchion, I'm not actually sure. Wait, okay, I think I remember Falchion. Basically, I think by, like, repeated movements, you can, like, store up energy and use it later. I think it's, like, enhanced attack, I think, maybe? My brain just blanked. Because I don't actually really know the words very, like, I don't know what they do. I can't really say anything as far as One for All anymore. Some of the villains also have really cool quirks. So, there's the leader of the League of Villains, Shigaraki. He was also born quirkless, by the way, but his quirk is Decay. So, by touching him with all 5 of his fingers, it turns to dust. Now, this is survivable if you move fast enough, because it's not just, like, touch and then dust. Like, it is slow, at least the beginning of the series. I think it does get worse, well, like, more powerful, because I did see a clip where, like, an entire crowd of people, like, they didn't even animate it. Like, it has a crowd of people, touch one of them, one frame, they're suddenly all dust. Like, so it does get more powerful later, but that's not the point. So at least, being serious, like, it is survivable. But, I said, all 5 fingers, they're dust. So something he actually has to do when holding something, if he doesn't want to dust it, is keep up one of his fingers. I'm just gonna, I found, so like this, to prevent it from turning the dust. If he did this, it's gone. Oh, another interesting one. Kurogiri. I'm not really sure how he got it. I'll explain that later. But his quirk is Warp Gate. So, he can create basically portals, like purple misty portals. He can't actually see into the other side, but basically create like portals to other places. So he's the league's main person for transportation, because just using the warp gate is easier than like, what will they even do, like walk there? I don't know. Oh, Toga. She has a blood quirk, so she was actually shunned by society for having a blood quirk, because people hate quirkless people, but are also weird about certain types of quirks. Like you wouldn't like her any better if she was quirkless? Like, what's your problem? Okay, so due to having a blood quirk, she has to consume blood. And this is the reason why people judged her, because I think it's weird, like, when you drink blood. So what she can do is, by consuming someone's blood, she can change her appearance to look like them. The amount of time she has with that appearance depends on how much blood she drank. I don't actually know, like, the time conversion or anything, but I know it depends. Like, if she only drinks a little bit, then obviously, like, this is less time than, like, that. Later, she essentially would use the quirks of the people she transform into, but that's a whole nother thing. I don't know how that happened. Okay, there's twice. You can make clones, both of himself and other people. The only thing he needs to make a clone is a person measurements, so like their height and stuff. But once he knows that, you can make a clone of them. Now, his clones are, I believe, less powerful than the original person, but they are able to use the other person's quirk. So, like, let's say you made a clone of Shigaraki. That clone can also use Decay. Oh, there's Dabi. He has a fire quirk. The fire is blue, so, like, it's very hot. Actually, he burned himself with his own quirk. Like, he's covered in burns. Because he burned himself using his own quirk when he was training as a kid. There's also a whole nother mess with his backstory. So, yeah. Okay. Oh, Mr. Compress. I don't actually know the name of his quirk, but he can, basically, like, because he carries small marbles with him. So he can, basically compress any object or person into one of those marbles. And just, like, carry them in his pocket or whatever. I don't know how he releases it, but he can. It would be kind of useless if you couldn't win it. It's not like breaking the marble, I know that. Anyway, okay. Those are like all the interesting words in the league. So I do want to talk about Kurogiri, because like I was gonna explain the thing. Because I don't know how I mean, like, I vaguely know how he got his quirk. So, I mentioned All for One earlier. The one who can steal quirks. He's, like, Shigaraki is, like, the leader of the League of Villains, but, like, All for One is the leader of the League of Villains, if that makes sense. So, he's kind of working behind the scenes with everything, but kind of let Shigaraki do what he wants. I'm guessing it's because he took him in when he was a kid, because he gave him a quirk, because like I said, Shigaraki was born quirkless. He actually used that to manipulate him. But anyway, so there's these things called Nomu. They're, I would say they're people, because they're made from, like, the base of Nomu is a person. But they get experimented on and modified and stuff, that they become brainless monsters, so are they really people? Not really. Especially since Nomus are actually dead. Like, the person has, so, yeah. It's not really a person anymore. Basically, take a person, and then, do something, and All for One makes so the Nomus can have multiple quirks. So, Kurogiri is actually a Nomu made from a second year who died like years ago. He got crushed by a building. He was actually friends with some of UA's current teachers. And because this kid did still get crushed, the building couldn't really bring him back. But there was, I don't know how it happened, there was one point where, because, Ikoria does have a physical body, which is actually the body of this kid, his name's Orboro, but it's typically covered by purple mist. But there's one point where some of the mist moved, and you could actually see this kid's face look the same after so many years, because again, it did. So it's really sad, because it's like, he wanted to be a hero, and then got turned into Nomu, who was working with the villains, and he had no choice. Like, it must be awful. Like, yeah, he doesn't know, but like, that must be awful. I'm running out of things that I remember, so I should probably cut the video. It was fun though. Sorry that it ended up being like 99% info dumping, but anyway, bye. Have a good day.